Call the banners.
All of them, my lord.
They've all sworn to defend my father, have they not?
They have.
Now we see what the words are worth.
Shalom, and welcome to another episode of TEOTW Exposing Himself. Yeah, there's going to be quite a few of these. So let's get into this episode. So TEOTW Behind Closed Doors actually praises the YAP Gang in their knowledge of DNA. Yes, you heard that right. TEOTW acknowledges and knows that the YAP Gang understands DNA science, and he even praised them behind closed doors. And he didn't do this once, or twice, or not even 3 times, but total 5 times that Teo praises the YAP Gang concerning DNA. Even tells us to take over the DNA subject, that he's done with DNA, and that we should be the ones talking about DNA. Teo says all of this.
And at least you guys are have your answers more thorough. But a lot of the people that's teaching the haplogroup are not presenting what you guys are saying. So when we say autosomal is better, it's because when we know and I'm not saying in your scenario, because you guys at least are looking deeper. As a scientific exercise, I'm not saying this is not valid, and I think you guys are doing a good job understanding this. But I think maybe you guys have a better understanding of what we were saying and the issues. I hope, because it's very complex.
Money. If we stick with the DNA, even Jewish people are surprisingly seeing, like, oh, these black people might actually be able to prove something with this DNA stuff.
And look, we are totally cool with that. Y'all can be the DNA experts, but we don't want to touch it.
So all of these things count. So we take all these things in consideration. So this is why, like, we know you guys are really good in prophecy. We're trying to dig in another the area. So we don't take it as a religion. You know, we don't take it as, we just like, if we're going to talk about this, then we got to be thorough. It may seem like we're being zealous, religiously zealous about it, but we're not. This is not our religion.
Can y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Because my mic.
So I wanted to say one thing.
We hear
you, sister. That religion thing was not about y'all. We were not. It was not y'all, guys. Go ahead.
Guys, when I said that, I was not even talking about y'all. To be honest, I didn't know y'all existed, to be honest. And so, I wasn't talking about y'all because I didn't know what y'all work was. But, what I was talking about, there's a lot of random guys that go on Berean and they're just throwing out words and haplogroups and just making these generic statements and not doing what you guys are doing right now. And so, we're saying if you're not going to answer these, look at the questions, right? Like I said, the scientific method wasn't being applied, right? The first thing was to, ask questions and ask more questions. And that includes the intention of the people sampling, the area they sampled, and I'm like, that's why I said, it was like all these words were being spoken, haplogroup this, that, in this area, and the Tufi, and this and that, but there was no scientific application to it. Right. And I'm not talking about you guys. I'm just saying the randoms who came on there. I'm talking about Abu. It was just throwing this intellectual, exercise without putting any detail or bringing, as we like to say, bringing any receipts. I'm glad you guys have some receipts, because we're not, we as you know, we're not interested in DNA,
I don't know. I'm just making something up.
I think we should go live with this. I think we should allow everybody to come on and speak with that. Because the whole ugly part of everything that's going on is we going live. Everybody.
Well, fellas, we were played against each other, right? Because,
And I tried to avoid that in the beginning, but it may have came off wrong, so I do apologize for that.
Yeah. Because we were not trying to own the whole science, because we pulled away from it 2 years ago. But Abu came in there, and then Orthodox backed Abu, and then Orthodox created a straw man argument that he tried to make us defend. And I'm like, we were never trying to own this. I totally respect where you guys are coming from. I'm glad we were able to have the conversation, and I hope you understand what we were coming from with autosomal, and maybe that there are some valid arguments there. Not that we were saying it's the only way to go, but we have some issues when we're looking at the data, because from like my brother said, from a computer programming standpoint, for us to solve our problem, a question produces another question until we find an answer and produce another question until we can get a synthesis of a common ground. So, that's what led us to say, there's some issues. But, I'm glad you guys have some answers. And, I'm willing to, back you guys on that. Because tell you the truth, when Yeshu embarrassed G-Con, I was on his side. But when I got attacked on Berean show, that's when I had a problem, right? And so, I'm good with what y'all doing. And I think we should have had that conversation instead of going on Berean, because Berean is the author of mess.
Oh,
right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
People ask, I go up there because in the midst of the mess, somebody got to have a little bit of reasoning when it comes to our community. Because he'll go find the worst representative of our community to go up there, and then I'll be like, this is not how we're going to do it. We're going to make sure that we have the right representative up there. So he is the first one.
Yeah, and if anybody ever like let's say you're on Berean TV and someone brings up DNA, I think it's best when it comes to stuff like that, just say, hey, we got Israelites in the field of genetics. Go talk to, Yeshu, the Hebrew of Israel.
Expert.
Yeah.
Y'all the expert. We're gonna send them our way because we don't have to do with it.
So as y'all just heard multiple times, TEOTW continuously praised the YAP Gang for DNA and their understanding of the subject, and I find it very interesting how he tries to fluff in front of his audience when it comes to YAP Gang now, but privately he actually praises us, and I believe this actually is very telling. But I'm not surprised because Teo is a very fake individual, so of course, in front of his audience, he'll try to pretend that the YAP Gang doesn't know what they're talking about, but behind closed doors, he knows exactly that we are correct when it comes to the DNA, as you just heard, praising us. But hey, that's just another episode of Teo exposing himself. Shalom.